You are listening to Strength Over All, a weightlifting podcast. Well, what do you know? We're not dead. Thank you for listening to episode 23 of Strength Overall. This is Rob, and introducing new co-host,
Zena.
Swisher. If you listen to all the other episodes that we have, you listened to an episode, I don't know what number it was.
9.
Really?
No. That's just my lucky number.
Yeah, episode 9.
Really?
With Zena. And Zena's going to be on the podcast now, hopefully a lot.
Yeah.
I guess schedule willing, and depending on when we get, guests and who's on. So I'm very sorry for the absence that we had. I was really strict on when we first started saying, like, all right, 1 episode a week, no matter what, even if it's just us, whatever, which lasted a long time. Like, I think maybe there was like one time we missed, or it was like 10 days before an episode.
Yeah, and you still doubled up.
Yeah, and went close to 6 months like that. But a lot's happened over the past 4 months. 4 months. That's what, because I had to look up to see that this is episode 23, and episode 22 was loaded 4 months ago. So within the past 4 months, when we left off, Zeno, you were getting ready for the American Open.
Yes.
To compete at your first national meet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was around the time the process of our gym moving was going on. So really quickly, just quick recap, talk about your American Open experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first national meet ever was the American Open in December, and we flew out to Orlando. Thankfully, I was a little bit underweight, so we chowed down on some Japanese food the night before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was such bullshit.
Yeah, still weighed like half a kilo underweight the next day.
We literally went to the Japanese steakhouse in the resort.
The World Center.
Like 12 hours before you had to weigh in.
Yeah, and still...
and got steak and shrimp.
Yep. All the pink sauce,
Yeah.
No holds, and this was still about a half kilo underweight, and then just about had the best meet of my life. Made all my snatches.
Oh,
Whoa.
shit. We get to talk about what happened on your clean and jerks.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. Go
ahead. Made all my snatches, opened with 70, 72, 73?
On snatch?
Yeah.
72.
Okay, opened up with 72, made 72, went up to 75, and then made a snatch PR at 77. All were great snatches, so glad to get my feet wet. It was, or dry, so it was a good time. And then into clean and jerks, which were a little bit more exciting. Made my first clean and jerk at 90, 92?
I think we opened at 92.
92.
And at the, like, a little background, your best at 63 kilos body weight was 98. Is that right?
I think it was 96 because I
96.
hadn't. Yeah, I'd clean 98, but couldn't stand it up.
Okay.
In 63.
And as a 69, you cleaned. No. Okay. As a 69, you clean and jerked 100.
Yes.
As a 63, your best clean and jerk was 96 or 97.
Yes.
But you cleaned 101 like 2 weeks before the American Open as a 63.
Yep.
But it like took everything out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Missed the
so
jerk.
given that, opened at 92.
Yeah, opened at 92, made 92, so that was great. Went into my second lift, and we decided to go for 96, which would have qualified me for nationals and actually would have...
Well, see, this is where I fucked up because when you got done with snatch, to qualify for nationals,
nationals.
To qualify for nationals, you had to clean and jerk 93. But 92 was the number that we had talked about forever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, whatever. We're going to stick to 92. I don't want to change anything up like this last minute. So we'll do 92, and then worst case scenario, you miss it, and I put the pressure on you. I'm like, you better fucking do 93. Yeah. We're going to 93, and then you'd make 93.
Right.
So that was my thought process going into clean and jerk. So you open at 92, and it looked. I remember it not looking that easy.
No.
But you made it.
Yeah.
And you came back and we went to 96.
Yeah, and I ripped my hand on my first clean and jerk.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were trying to figure out what was going on with that. And so we were like, okay, bump to 96, trying to figure out my hand. And then all of a sudden a few people bumped and I was up. So I threw, chalk on my hands. I had my belt on early, probably had my belt on way earlier than usual, and go up and clean it and stand it up. And then you can kind of tell me what happens after that. Since
so my thought process is we need 93 to qualify for nationals. It's not like this was the last chance to qualify for nationals.
No,
you could still qualify for nationals now.
Yeah.
But anyway, you stood up with 96 and you stood there and you started kind of like rocking back a little too far onto your heels, and you fucking passed out.
Yeah. Thankfully, I like took a step, and like in what I remember is I like took a step as if someone like had pulled me back. Then I took another step and I was like, all right, something doesn't feel right. So I dropped the bar and then just fell over.
Yeah, it was like right as my mouth was opening to yell drop it. That's like when you started falling down.
Yeah.
And luckily the bar went forward and you fell backward and like rolled off the back of the platform.
Yeah, I like turned left and thankfully fell where it was flat.
Yeah. And now I don't know, because you said you never went black,
out.
right?
Yeah, I was like trying to I step back, drop the bar, turn to the left to be like, what is going on? Because I felt like someone was just pushing me back. And then when I turned to you is when I fell.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to stand up and I like couldn't, like my body wouldn't let me like sit up.
Yeah.
And so it kind of looked like,
I guess that's what I was about to ask, because it looked like you were convulsing.
Right.
Like it looked like you were having a seizure.
And that was my thought. In my head, I was like, man, I'm going to be so mad if I'm having a seizure. Like never had a seizure in my life. I'm going to be so mad if this is the chance. And then of course my second thought is, man, I'm going to be so mad if they don't let me go for my last lift. I was like, gosh, I don't know. I'm still new to weightlifting. I don't know if they like cut you off. Some sports they like, tell you no, you can't go back out there. And
weightlifting will let you kill yourself.
Yeah, thankfully. So, so then the meds come out and tell me to sit down and take a deep breath, and I end up standing up just fine. And I think you could see it on my face that I was, had that like fierce fire, like, all right, let's go.
Well, yeah, like you were, because I couldn't see you, because your husband Tyler was standing next to me,
right?
And when you fell down, I like put my hand on his shoulder. I was like, yo, don't run up there, because they get mad if a coach or whoever runs up onto the stage, because you're not supposed to. But nobody came to you.
Yeah,
like, and then he just like, which I'm glad he did. He ran up to you.
Yeah.
And then it was like people responded to
right.
it. But so there was that, like he ran up there and I couldn't see you because there were like the 2 or 3 medics and Tyler, and I was thinking like, fuck, we're done.
Yeah.
Like 1 kilo away from the nationals qualifying total. Like, man, I really fucked up. Like, because I was thinking, worst case, you missed 96, and then I could just, again, put that same pressure on you I would have put on if you had missed your opener.
Right.
And knowing that you respond well to that, it would have been like, okay, well, she'll make it on the second one.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to pass out.
No,
because you've never done that.
Never in my life have I done that. In all the sports, years and years, probably 15 years of athletic experience, squatting, deadlifting. Never in my life have I ever gotten to that point where I've fallen over and like couldn't stand up or.
Yeah, so that's what I was just like, well, shit, I guess I didn't think of every possible scenario.
Yeah.
And
which you don't think that way anyways. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I've never, since I haven't watched someone I coach walk up on a platform and be like, ooh, they don't pass out. But okay, so I was thinking we're done. And then when they were helping you off, I saw on your face that you looked totally fine.
Yeah.
And like it surprised me that I looked at you and you were totally fine. And like the second you got off the platform, they tightened the bar and started your 2-minute clock. And so the second like your feet were off the platform and they tightened it, which was probably 5 seconds.
Right.
Your clock was restarted. And like I looked at you and was like, can you do this?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, let me do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I told you to like go in the back and lay down. I gave you some Gatorade. I was like, chug some Gatorade real quick. And then lay down, put your feet over your head for 30 seconds, and then get up and pace until you're ready.
Yep.
And so that's what you did. And I remember like you were laying there, and I think you put your headphones on real quick, and you were like laying on the chair with your feet up. And I think everybody was thinking, oh, this clock's just going to run out.
Right.
Like, you know, they're just going to let the 2 minutes run and then it'll be the next person. So you're laying there, feet up, eyes closed. I'm nervous as shit. Like, I think I've always said every time someone's doing a lift that matters in a meet, like, oh, I've never been so nervous.
Yeah.
But like, I really think that might have been the most nervous I've been before someone I coached doing a lift. And I turned, well, no, not yet. You got up, you paced, and it got down to where there was like 45 seconds on your clock. So literally about 2 minutes after you passed out, you walked up and you fucking smoked it.
Yeah.
Like, just killed it.
Cranked it out.
Yeah, and I mean, it was insane because it looked easy. Like, there was no doubt in my mind you could have made 100 if you had a fourth attempt.
Oh, absolutely.
So you did that, and like as you were walking up onto the platform, I turned to Tyler, her husband, your husband.
Yeah.
We're not talking to anybody else, just each other right now.
But
and I was like, man, I don't know if this is a good idea. And he was like, he was obviously nervous because he was really fidgety, but he was like, no, man, she can do it. She's got this. She's got this all day.
Yeah.
And it was like but it was funny because just the way he talked to me, it's like he was not really paying attention to me.
No,
he was just like so honed in on what was going on, and that was just like his like real quick response.
Yeah, and to think back, the few snapshots that I have in that moment is I come off the stage and I'm thinking in my head, like, man, I'm going to be so bummed if something like this, like in my head, I'm like, man, this is so silly. Like, what? I don't know. I don't even know what happened, but, you know, I feel fine.
Yeah.
And when I got off the platform and looked at you, you go, so what do you want to do? I was like, I want to go for it. And you're like, oh, okay, we'll drink some Gatorade and go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you got a minute and a half.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I put my headphones in and I was thinking, you know, there's nothing that's going to stop me from making that lift.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't come all this way to sit there when, you know, I stood it up and it felt fine.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I have to do it. Like, I had no other choice. And right before I went up, you go, okay, this is it. You have to make this lift before you get to nationals. And I was like, whew.
Yeah.
All right. But it's one of those things where it's moments like that I feel like kind of define you or show you like deep down, you know, who you are or, you know, what you really want. Because, I mean, I easily could have been like, I don't know, you know, like, let's just enjoy the weekend. I was like, absolutely not. And I mean, it's moments like that are the reason why you train through days that feel awful.
Yeah.
And, you know, figure out. And thankfully we found out different tricks about breathing and things that have definitely helped since then. But definitely.
Oh, yeah. That's a good little, like, let me say this because this is something I say to everyone in here now, like people that get dizzy a lot when they stand up on cleans. What I have found because of me dealing with it is that if you're just standing there, like, you know, I think even though you're like, all right, deep inhale before you do a jerk, I think everybody doesn't want to necessarily take full breaths. But what I have found, and I think what I told you and what I've told a handful of people now is just let all your air out. Yeah. Like, you know, don't collapse your torso. But if you're standing there at the top of a clean and you feel dizzy, just take a long, slow exhale, let it all out, and then take a brand new breath back in, and a lot of it's going to go away.
Right.
Like, it's not all going to go away,
no,
but maybe enough to where you can, like, focus and do the jerk.
Yeah, absolutely. And feel comfortable, you know, and sometimes it's hard to tell if you're fuzzy or if you're just shaking or if it's both. And definitely, I think regardless if it's getting new air or if it's just like clearing your head and being like, okay, now I'm set.
Yeah.
You know, but it definitely helps you come back to reality a little bit and then put it over your head. So.
Well, yeah, and it was cool too because I mean, you were in the D session, but also it's crazy because you making that lift, you beat everyone in the C session.
Yeah.
So you were like second place for the C session, I think, because you ended up being like 27th overall, I think. Anyway, 27th or 29th, one or the other.
Yeah.
Either way. You know, so it's a D session at the American Open. There was a good amount of people there watching, but it's not like an A session.
Yeah, it was the morning,
you know?
so.
And that place like lit up when you like walked back out on the platform. Everybody like, and we were told by people that we knew that were watching that like everyone was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Like watching me go back up there, like, what is she doing?
Right, like that girl just passed out 90 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Like. And it looked like you were having a seizure. Yeah. And that like everybody was just kind of like, oh, what the fuck?
What is going on? Yeah.
When you made it, everyone lost their shit.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then when we got in the back, like obviously we were so excited and like Tyler and I were both like freaking out. And Paul Doherty came up to you and was like, I've been doing this a while, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, that was really impressive. And you didn't know who he